So when you talk about really disappointing teams in the NHL, the Buffalo Sabres have to come up in that conversation. A team that hasn't made the playoffs in 13 years. A team that had the second overall pick in an incredibly loaded 2015 draft class, drafted Jack Eichel, a guy who was supposed to be a franchise potential player for them, and they messed it all up. For some reason, every single time this team has a chance to rebuild, they mess it up every single time. And you know what? I think they've done it again here. Although you have a lot of incredible pieces here, for some reason it just doesn't work. Now I will say, I am recording this right after game number 1 against the New Jersey Devils, so I might be overreacting a little bit here, but you gotta hear me out. The power play for the Buffalo Sabres, it struggled last season. So what did it do in game number 1 against the New Jersey Devils? It struggled. The power play looked atrocious. Defensively, you struggled last season. So how'd the defense look today? It looked terrible. Defensively, you guys were absolutely abysmal once again. I don't know what it's gonna take. And on top of all that, you fired your coach last season, and who'd you bring in to replace him? Lindy Ruff, a man who was basically kicked out of New Jersey because he was completely ruining that team. So Buffalo watched him ruin New Jersey, and you know what they said? Let's bring him onto our team. Clearly he can turn things around here. This isn't 20 years ago. Lindy Ruff isn't the guy anymore, so you know what? Stick on the Ice is gonna have to step in here, and I'm gonna have to try to turn this team into a competitive franchise. And I'm not talking about just being competitive in the sense that we're just gonna try to make the playoffs here. No, we're gonna win a Stanley Cup with the Buffalo Sabres, and we're gonna end this playoff drought. So if we want to make the Buffalo Sabres a competitive franchise here, we're gonna have to make some difficult decisions, and one of those is gonna be trading Dylan Cousins. And Dylan Cousins, you actually looked really good in game number 1, so this is nothing against you. But you know what? I just want to free up a bit of money here. We're paying you $7.1 million, and based on the way I have the team set up right now, I don't really think you fit here. Like, you would end up playing some bottom 6 minutes, and I don't really want to pay you $7.1 million to play some bottom 6 minutes, so we're looking to trade you away here. And a guy we could potentially bring in, Trevor Zegras. We do need another playmaker on this team, and he does fit on the second line, so that would be perfect for us. So I think we're going to do a deal like this. It's going to be Dylan Cousins for Trevor Zegras, but of course we're going to have to give up a bit more. And one guy I wouldn't be against giving away here is Samuelsson. I do think he is a decent enough defensive defenseman, but not at $4.2 million. $4.2 million for the next 6 seasons, that's a bit too much for me, so I'm going to offer this package over. They're going to be saying no to that, but we got some draft picks, or I really hope the Buffalo Sabres have draft picks. So it looks like they do, so I'm going to throw a 3rd rounder into this deal. I'm going to offer that over. The Anaheim Ducks going to be saying no. What if we do a 2nd round pick? I'll do a 2nd round pick for 2026, and I think that should be enough to get this deal done. We actually might be able to get a 3rd rounder back. So are you willing to give me a 3rd round pick for 2026? I'm going to send this package over. They're saying no. I'll take the 3rd rounder out. I just want to make sure we're bringing Trevor Zegras to the team, and it looks like we're going to be able to. We're going to keep on making some moves here in Connor Clifton. I'm just going to trade this contract away. I don't really want to pay you $3.3 million for the next 2 years. We're going to pick up Jake Bean, 1.7 for the next 2 years, so that's a much better contract. Wahlberg's also going to be sent over to the Calgary Flames, so we're going to bring in Jacob Pelche. He'll play in the AHL for us. Hopefully he can develop into maybe an AD overall, and they'll be able to crack the lineup in the future. They're going to be saying no to this package, but we're so close. All it's going to take is a 7th round pick. So I'll give you Washington's 7th round pick, and that should be enough to get this deal done. So there we go. Jake Bean's going to be joining the team, and we're freeing up some more money. So for year number 1, I'm not expecting the Buffalo Sabres to win, but Tage Thompson, Zach Benson, and Jack Quinn on the first line, these guys are definitely going to be regressing, no question about it. Alex Tuch, Trevor Zegras, and JJ Peterka, that's actually a pretty solid second line. The bottom 6 we're going to work on in the future. I don't want to make a ton of trades just yet. We have a handful of guys that have good line fits, so hopefully that's going to be helping us here. Defensively, we're going to have to bring in a new coach here. Like Rasmus Dahlin, one of our top defensemen, he doesn't fit on the first pairing. Bo Byram doesn't fit on the first pairing. I wonder about Owen Power. Oh, he doesn't fit on the first pairing either. So none of these guys fit on the top pairings. That's definitely not ideal for us. When it comes to goaltending, Pekka Luukkonen, I'm going to believe in you. James Reimer, you're going to be the backup because we're going to start Devin Levi in the AHL. Hopefully that's going to help his progression. Then he'll be up to an 85 by the beginning of next season. Then we can rock 2 solid goaltenders. I mean, eventually we are going to have to make a decision between these 2 guys. Yuko Pekka Luukkonen, I think I like you a bit more because you already locked down for the next how many years. So yeah, I think that's going to be a bit more useful for us because Devin Levi is probably going to be asking for a bag pretty quick. So we'll simulate up to the trade deadline, make some moves accordingly. But as we simulate up to the trade deadline, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel because as you know, we're trying to hit 75k by the end of the month. Well, it's good to see that we're off to an incredibly realistic start. The Ottawa Senators are first in the entire league. The Ottawa Senators first in the entire league. The Philadelphia Flyers 6th in the entire league. The Chicago Blackhawks 8th in the entire league. Okay, this is a wild universe we're living in. The Edmonton Oilers 12th in the entire league. Nothing about this is making sense right now, but you know what? We're not going to worry about it. The Buffalo Sabres, we will worry about you guys though, at 29-30-2 record. Now, the one thing that is surprised me a little bit is the fact that our offense is as bad as it is. I thought it would be better. The defense being terrible doesn't really surprise me too much. Granted, we do have a lot of young guys in the top 6 right now. Like Zach Benson's up there. We have JJ Peterka up there. We got Jack Quinn up there. Like, we have a lot of young guys playing top minutes right now. Tage Thompson, though, not a bad start. He's got 60 points, 27 goals, 33 helpers, so that's not bad. that. Trevor Zegras, he was actually a really good pickup. Alex Tuch's looking not too bad so far. JJ Peterka, 48 points. Jack Quinn, 47 points. The bottom six is basically non-existent when it comes to scoring. The defense has been atrocious. Jason Zucker, I'm certainly not bringing you to the team next season. And then when it comes to goaltending, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, I mean, do what you can here. 23 wins, 3 shouts, a 906, and a goals against of exactly 3. We're going to make some trades at the deadline here. We're going to do a bit of selling, and some of that selling is going to involve Jason Zucker. Let's see if we can get some assets for him. So we picked up Jake Bean at the beginning of the season. You know what? He hasn't done too bad so far, but I think I'd rather have Siegenthaler over him. He's got 7 goals, 17 assists. He's +3, so he's actually been one of our better defensemen. But as we know, this team's not good defensively, and Siegenthaler would definitely help with that a ton here. 84 overall. He's got 5 goals and 10 assists, so he's got 15 points so far. Jake Bean only has 9 more points than Siegenthaler, and he's an offensive defenseman. So I think I'd rather pick up the defensive defenseman who's going to be better defensively, but can still somewhat produce offensively. Jason Zucker's going to be traded as well, along with a 4th round pick. We're also going to be getting 1 young player in this deal, so that's not going to be too bad. As long as we can bring in a young prospect, we'll be in a good spot here. I'll include another 4th rounder into this deal, and we'll be able to get it done. Siegenthaler is certainly going to be helping the defense a ton here. Now, I think that's probably going to be the only trade we make here, and then Peyton Krebs will probably get called up, or we might even just have Jacob Pelche play some bottom 6 minutes to finish out the season. I mean, at this point, it doesn't really matter. We're going to be one of the worst teams. We're going for the 1st overall pick. Now, it's a good thing that we have a bit of cap space because there's a handful of important pieces that are going to need some extensions. So let's go ahead and do some negotiating. So after some tense negotiations, Bo Byron's going to be locked down for $7.25 million for the next 4 seasons, $500K in savings. JJ Peterka's already being incredible reasonable here, so we're going to do $4.4 million for the next 4 years. And then with Jack Quinn, this one's actually going to be a bit more difficult since he doesn't really have too much organizational interest. But you know what? At the end of the day, we're saving money with our other 2 players. So if Jack Quinn wants $4.5 million for the next 3 years, I'll give that to him. As a third pairing defenseman, I don't mind keeping Jacob Bryson around here. It's going to be 2.2 for the next 2 years. Jordan Greenway, we're going to let you walk away here. Henry Jokiharju, I wouldn't mind keeping you around as well. Where you can be looking for, yeah, we could probably do something like this. How about $2.25 million for the next 2 years? Now, I didn't realize how many people needed extensions, but I guess we're going to move on to Ryan McLeod next. It's going to be 1.4 for the next 2 years. An absolute steal for a bottom 6 player such as him. Now, this is exactly why Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen was probably going to be our starter for the future. Devin Levi, 4.5 for the next 2 years. You haven't even proven yourself yet. You're only an 82 overall. I can't do a deal like that. Alright, so you might be thinking, how on earth did this happen? How did the Buffalo Sabres finish 12th in the entire league and make the playoffs based on where they were at the trade deadline? Well, this team was really good down the stretch. So to finish out the season, the Buffalo Sabres went 17-4. This team went 17-4, only losing to the Utah Hockey Club, the Minnesota Wild, the Ottawa Senators, and the Carolina Hurricanes in a shootout loss. To finish out the season, we're on a 5-game heater right now. We've won 8 of our last 10. The Buffalo Sabres are doing something that makes absolutely no sense. This team should not be making the playoffs. Did Siegenthaler really make that much of a difference? Like, the only move we did at the trade deadline was getting rid of Jason Zucker and bringing Siegenthaler to the team. So maybe Siegenthaler is just him. Tage Thompson, 84 points. Trevor Zegras, 77. JJ Peterka, 70. Alex Tuch, 64. But where is Siegenthaler? I need to know what that man did this season. He's finishing with 21 points here. I do believe when we acquired him, he only had 15. So yeah, he had 6 points in 21 games. He was +7 with the boys. Maybe he completely turned the defense around here because yeah, there's no reason we should be this good. And it looks like our defense did turn around because look at Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen's numbers. 36 wins, 3 shots, a 911 and a 286. This is a massive improvement from what we saw at the trade deadline. And you know what? We're almost guaranteed the second round. We get to take on the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round. Even though we're definitely the underdog in this series, we're playing the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's be honest, we probably should be the favorite. So we're taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. We won game number 1 and game number 2. Unfortunately, we're going to be dropping game number 3, but we really have a 3-1 series lead. I told you, it doesn't matter if we're the underdog because we're technically not the underdog. We're taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs, and we're about to blow a 3-1 series lead to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Okay, never mind, we're just upsetting them. This is hilarious. The Toronto Maple Leafs, it doesn't matter who they're taking on. It doesn't matter if it's a poor Buffalo Sabres team that isn't great defensively, we're still going to upset them. Now, although it was a huge upset over the Toronto Maple Leafs, let's be honest, we were playing the Toronto Maple Leafs. We were almost guaranteed to win that one. This next matchup is going to be way tougher, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, although Tampa didn't have as good of a record as the Toronto Maple Leafs, they're the Tampa Bay Lightning, and as long as they have Vasilevsky in between the pipes, they're going to be competitive. So without a doubt, the Tampa Bay Lightning are definitely going to be a tougher task than the Toronto Maple Leafs, but maybe not. We're stealing game number 1 away, but we're going to be dropping back-to-back games. Is it going to be 3 in a row? Whenever Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen stands on his head, we're able to win games here. Can he do it once again in game number 5? Yes, he can. Are we going to make it to the conference finals in year number 1? Alright, we got to head to game 7 here, but let's be realistic with ourselves. The Buffalo Sabres shouldn't be here. Like, the Buffalo Sabres are certainly exceeding expectations. In the first period, Rasmus Dahlin's going to be picking up a huge goal here. In the second period, we're going to double down, picking up another 2 goals, a 3-0 lead entering the third period. We scored 6 goals in this game. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is just built different. There is no reason we should be in the conference finals with the team we have. So after calling the Buffalo Sabres one of the most disappointing teams in the NHL, I made a couple trades with them, and here we are in the conference finals. You couldn't even make that up. So the Buffalo Sabres, the most disappointing team, making it all the way to the conference finals. We're winning game number 1, but we're going to be dropping 2 straight. We're going to be winning a big game number 4, so that means we're down to a best of 3. We got to win game number 5 here if we want to be competitive. We're not making it to the Stanley Cup Final in year number 1. How did that happen? All right, we're about to turn the Buffalo Sabres into the most dominant franchise of all time. I don't know how we've made it this far, but here we are. I don't know what happened in game number 1. We must have won it though, because we didn't get swept. It looks like reality's finally set in here. We got game 5 elimination. Watch us make a 3-1 series comeback. It would actually only make sense for us to make a 3-1 series comeback. Like, the Buffalo Sabres should not be in this position right now, and we're picking up 3 goals in the first period, another 2 in the second. We're going to make this comeback, aren't we? Okay, we almost choked in the third period. However, we are potting 7 in this game. So we won 7-4 in game number 5. Can that continue into game number 6 here? If we make a 3-1 series comeback, then the Buffalo Sabres might be the greatest team of all time. And the first period is going to be a scoreless one. Moving into the second period, we're picking up a huge goal with Trevor Zegras. Are we going to hold it down in the third period here and make it to the Stanley Cup Final? We sort of held it down in the third period, but unfortunately we allowed back-to-back goals here, overtime to settle this one. If we can win this game right here, we're off to game 7. And what's going to be happening? Rasmus Dahlin, a short-handed goal in overtime of game number 6. Buddy, you're not Alex Turcotte. You're not that guy. But you know what? I'll definitely take a short-handed goal in overtime here. We're off to game 7. So game 7's wild for the Buffalo Sabres. The fact that this team's made to the Stanley Cup Final makes no sense. But game 7, no, it doesn't make any sense. It's almost unbelievable. The Dallas Stars, though, they've got goals in periods 1 and 2. So we got to make a big comeback in the third period. But if anyone's going to make a comeback, it's going to be the Buffalo Sabres. But it looks like our luck's run out here. Tage Thompson, a late third period goal is not going to be enough. We're falling in game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final in year number 1 here. But if that's not a great sign for what's to come, I don't know what is. Like, I really don't have too much to say here. The boys performed in season number 1, making it to the Stanley Cup Final. We shouldn't have made it this far. Tage Thompson, incredible. Jack Quinn, incredible. Zach Benson, incredible. All of these young guys are staying on the team. They're going to be getting even better here. We're setting ourselves up for a lot of success in the future. No question about it. Owen Power, you were pretty disappointing. Siegenthaler, you didn't really do too much. You were actually -6. That doesn't really make any sense, but you know what? The Buffalo Sabres showing a lot of progression. I guess I should look at Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen's numbers, seeing as he probably was the most important piece for the Stanley Cup run. Pekka Luukkonen, what were you up to? 15 wins, 2 shots, a .922 and a .257. I'm sorry we let you down. We should have clutched up in game number 7 there, but unfortunately we're going to be folding. But I have a feeling the Buffalo Sabres are going to be back pretty quick. So I'm not going to lie, I regret not trading our first round pick now, because that would have had so much value at the trade deadline. It would have been ridiculous. But who would have thought we would make it to the Stanley Cup Final? Like, let's be honest. If you told me at the trade deadline the Buffalo Sabres would make it to the Stanley Cup Final in year number 1, I wouldn't have believed you. We were what, 5th last in the entire league and made it all the way to the Stanley Cup Final? That's even more impressive than what the St. Louis Blues did. We were dead last in January. This team was 5th last in March. So with the 31st overall pick, we are going to be getting a decent enough prospect. Aitchison, medium top 4 potential, starting off as a 61 overall. Securing a medium top 4 potential player late in the first round like this is definitely a win for us. So we're late in the draft here. We're in the 6th round with the 191st overall pick. So I'm going to package that up with the 210th overall and the 223rd. And we're going to get a future 3rd and 4th rounder from the Flames. I guess we're not getting the 4th rounder, but we will get the 3rd. So we've already gone ahead and re-signed a majority of the important pieces. We have $11.8 million to work with here. Unless you're going to have trade value, I'm probably not going to bring you back. Jordan Greenway, I actually don't mind you on the bottom 6 here. And you know what? For $1.6 million, we can do that. So $1.6 million, hopefully you're going to be rejoining the team here. I mean, I'll do 1.7 if I have to. Devin Levi, hopefully you've smartened up a little bit here. If you haven't, I'm just going to qualify you as an RFA. 2 years at $2.4 million. If anything, I would want to do a 3-year deal. But if we do 3 years, he's going to be looking for $4.1 million. I think I'm going to qualify you as an RFA and then trade you away. Ryan Johnson, you're absolutely bugging. Why would I give you a one-way deal? Jacob Pelche, what are you going to be looking for? You're looking for a one-way deal as well. You know what? I'm actually not against that. If we do $950K on a one-way deal, I'm perfectly fine with that. Even if I have to send you to the AHL, it's not really that much of a cap hold. We literally just made to the Stanley Cup Final, and you don't want to sign with us because you want to be on a team that's going to make it to the Stanley Cup Final. That makes 0 sense. I gave bro an extra $50K a year, and now he's willing to sign with the team. That was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen, though. So although we have $10 million to work with, and we could go make some big signings, we got to make sure that we bring back the important pieces. I'm talking Trevor Zegras, I'm talking Alex Tuck, I'm talking Zach Benson. Now starting off with Trevor Zegras here, he's looking for $9.1 million. We can definitely negotiate that down. So after a bit of a negotiation, we're going to be saving $1 million with Trevor Zegras per year. It's going to be 8.1 for the next 7. We're giving him a modified no trade clause at 50%. I can definitely live with that. That's a great deal for us. Trevor Zegras, he's going to be rejoining the team here. Now we have to move on to Alex Tuch and Zach Benson. So we negotiated a nice deal with Alex Tuch. We're going to be looking at 5 years at $6.7 million. For what Alex Tuch brought to the team last season, I'm perfectly fine with giving him this amount of money. Now this is where things are going to get very difficult. We're going to give a deal to Zach Benson. I'm going to go through the negotiation here, but after giving all these guys deals, we are going to have to free up some money. So on top of saving $1 million with Trevor Zegras, we're also going to be saving $1 million with Alex Tuch here, $7 million for the next 5 years. So we've got all the important pieces locked down, but now we have to free up some money. Now Henry Okiharu, you are a stick on the ice legend, but I need that extra $2.2 million, so I'm going to send you over to the Boston Bruins and get a second round pick. Now we don't have to make too many deals over the offseason, but we will make this one. Devin Levi and Rosen are going to be sent over. McCollum's going to be coming onto the team. Dostal is going to be coming to the team, as well as a second round pick here. The second round pick is going to be pretty valuable. We know Devin Levi is not going to be returning to this team. I'm not giving him that amount of money. Plus, we're actually pretty tight to the cap right now, just because of that Jeff Skinner buyout. So with this roster right here, we made it all the way to the Stanley Cup Final, and in the second half of the season, we were one of the best, finishing the season 17-4. I'm hoping that's going to continue once again here. Offensively, all the young pieces developed. When it comes to the defense, Rasmus Dahlin, Bo Byram, Owen Power, that's going to be the big three that's going to lead us to a lot of greatness here. And then when it comes to Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, you know what? He was incredible in the postseason. He was great in those final 21 games. I'm expecting all of this to continue into this season. So I really don't know if Siegenthaler just means that much to the team, but we're third in the entire league right now, and ever since we acquired him, we have been so good defensively, it makes no sense. 2.57 goals allowed, one of the best in the entire league. Not quite as good as the Carolina Hurricanes, but we're certainly up there. Siegenthaler's really been that difference maker for us. Trevor Zegras, 60 points so far. Alex Tuch, 59. Tage Thompson's got 56 so far. Darlene's looking way better this season. He's got 50 points at the trade deadline. JJ Peterka, Jack Quinn, Zach Benson, the young guys are looking good here. I really don't think we have to do too much when it comes to trades. If we can bring in somebody on a 1-year deal, I think I'll make a move. But other than that, I think we're just going to stick with the team we have. We can't trade for anybody on a multi-year deal. We can only trade for somebody on a 1-year deal. Rasmus Anderson, we don't really need another defenseman here. If anything, we just need a piece for the bottom 6. So if we want to win a Stanley Cup, I think we do have to upgrade that bottom 6 a little bit. And Nyquist could be the missing piece for us. Columbus is going to retain half his salary, 86 overall. We're also going to get Denton Mateychuk under contract for the next 2 years. We're going to give up our first round pick for this season, our third round pick for 2027. If we have to, I'm willing to give up our second round pick for 2027. But you know what? We do have this Calgary third round pick, so what if I throw that into the deal? Will that be the difference maker? It looks like it will be. So that's going to be a nice addition to the defensive core over the next couple years. And then Nyquist is certainly going to be helping our forward core. So Gustav Nyquist brought a bit more scoring to the team. We're going to be finishing third with a 50, 26, and 6 record. Edmonton's absolutely flying right now, so they're certainly going to be a tough task when we meet them in the Stanley Cup Final. Surprisingly though, we actually didn't have a single point a game player on this team. Trevor Zegras is recording the most points, 79 points here, 31 goals, 48 helpers. Offensively, we are a really good team. And Gustav Nyquist, I actually played you on the first line since you had a better line fit there. And let's see if it worked out for this team. It certainly did. 12 goals, 7 assists, 19 points in 21 games. Having him play on the first line was definitely the right move. But I guess the real question is, can the big time players step up once again? You guys were amazing last season, but are you going to be able to do it again here in the postseason? We're going to be taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round. Tampa put up a good fight against us last season, so I wouldn't be surprised if they put up another good fight. So we got the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round, and we're going to be allowing 7 goals in game number 1. Certainly not ideal, but luckily we're responding in games 2 and 3. Can we make it 3 straight wins with a win in game number 4 here? Unfortunately not. We're going to be dropping that one. We're down to a best of 3. Whoever wins 2 of these next 3 games is off to the second round, and it better be the Buffalo Sabres. We're not going from making it to the Stanley Cup Final to losing in the first round. That's not going to happen here. And in order for that not to happen, we have to clutch up and win game number 6 here. The Buffalo Sabres are going to be picking up 2 goals in the first period. Can we hold it down in the second period? JJ Moses is going to be picking up a massive goal here, so the third period is going to decide this game. And who's going to step up when it matters the most? Jake Getzel is, but you know what? JJ Peterka is going to be a bit better, and he's picking up a goal just a minute later, and we're going to be winning this one. So we finished third in the entire league, and we're facing elimination in the first round. I don't plan on losing here, but maybe the team plans on losing. Hopefully everyone's on the same page here. We have a tough third period coming up here. We got to outscore the Tampa Bay Lightning, and are we going to be able to do that? It doesn't look like it. Beauvillier is going to be picking up an empty netter, and we went from the Stanley Cup Final to losing in the first round in 7 games. So you're telling me we went from 26th at the trade deadline to making the postseason and making it to the Stanley Cup Final. This season, when we finished third in the entire league, we lost in the first round. You can't even make this up. Okay, so right off the rip here, trading for Nyquist was definitely the right decision. 5 goals, 7 assists. Bro had 12 points in 7 games. There is nothing more you could have done. Tage Thompson, I mean, you had 7 points in 7 games. Can't expect too much more. What happened to this team? Why did we just collapse in the postseason? Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, yeah, the numbers weren't great, but what really happened to this team? Like, our top 6 seems like they performed not too bad. The bottom 6 wasn't good enough. I guess that was really the big difference. The bottom 6 just wasn't good here. However, it's not like we lost to a bunch of frauds, because Tampa Bay did make make it to the Stanley Cup Final, wild card team by the way, and they forced 7 games against the Chicago Blackhawks. That's back-to-back seasons now. A wild card team in the Eastern Conference is made to the Stanley Cup Final. We did it in year number 1, Tampa's doing it in year number 2. Now, though we don't have a first round pick, we do have the 40th overall, and we're going to be getting a medium top 6 potential player here who's starting off as a 68 overall, so that's definitely a pretty solid start in the draft. Okay, I don't even need to look at the rest of the draft. This is the 47th overall pick. Do we even have scouts on this team? Like, how is this even possible? Okay, how far do I have to go down? I have to go down almost 10 picks. That's ridiculous. 10 picks before I find the first scouting on any player here. Okay, yeah, we're going to try to draft this man. 115th overall, we'll trade for the 100th overall pick. So we'll make this deal with the Calgary Flames. They'll give up the 47th overall and the 155th. We'll get the 103rd overall and a future second round pick. Now, Calgary's going to say no to that, but they just want a 7th round pick. They just want the lucrative 7th round pick, which is the 219th. That's all they want. Now, I think we all know that this player is not going to have franchise potential, but even if he turns out to be a pretty good player like this guy down here, we're going to be drafting him later. More than likely, we're going to get at least medium league potential here, and that's exactly what we're going to be getting, so I'll definitely take that. And then with the 123rd, we'll go a bit off the board here so we can select this gem. He's got low league potential, 50 overall to begin his career. More than likely, he's not going to develop in time for us. So we have $5 million in cap space, and I can tell you right now, Nyquist isn't coming back to the team, and more than likely, Peyton Krebs probably won't either. What's he going to be looking for? $3 million. We'll qualify him as an RFA and then trade him away. I can't afford to give him $3 million. Sam Lafferty, I'm going to let you walk. Jackson Lacombe, I wouldn't mind keeping you on this team, but at $2.8 million, is it worth it? I think we're going to qualify you as an RFA and then trade you away because more than likely Denton Taychuk's going to be jumping into the lineup. So far, Beck's actually been a pretty good bottom 6 player for us. So I'm going to keep him around. It's going to be 1.4 for the next 2. And then outside of that, we're not making any major signings here. So what we're going to do with Jackson Lacombe and Peyton Krebs is they're both going to be sent over to the Montreal Canadiens. We're going to bring in Harvey Pinard to be a bottom 6 playmaker for us. We're also going to bring in Josh Roy or Josh Waugh. Still haven't figured out which one it is, but 1.5 for the next 2 years, that's a pretty good deal. They're going to be saying no to that, but the lucrative 7th round pick will always make the difference. So here's a 7th round pick for 2027, and that should be enough to get this deal done. They're going to be saying no because they're not going to have enough RFA space. Alright, I know we can get this deal done. What do you want, a 4th round pick or something? Like, I'll overpay just so we can get this deal done. So here's a 4th round pick. They're saying no to that. I'll give you another 7th. So what if we just use draft picks? A 2nd and 3rd round is going to be sent over to Montreal. They're going to accept that, and then we'll just use Trade Finder for those 2 RFAs. So Peyton Krebs, what are we going to be able to get for you? We can get a 2nd and 4th rounder from the Boston Bruins. And then Jackson Lacombe, what can we get for you? We can get a 3rd round pick from the Dallas Stars as well as a 5th. We'll do that deal right there. Alright, Bryson, you are wild, and I'm not giving you $6 million for the next 6 seasons. So we're going to ride out your contract for this season. I'm paying you 2.2 right now, and you want $6 million. What happened to being loyal to the soil? Jordan Greenway, I think we're just going to ride out your contract unless we can do something pretty similar. Maybe we will keep you around. So how does 1.7 for the next 3 years sound? I think that's a pretty good deal for you. It's $100,000 more than what you're getting paid right now. Ryan McLeod, we can do 1.7 for next season. That's $300K more for you. And I think those are going to be the only 2 deals we focus on right now. Before we move on to next season, we're going to be making one last trade. I'm going to try to bring Shane Wright to the team. I don't think all these assets are going to be enough. 85 overall, we can fit on the 4th line for us, and he's going to be a really good 4th line player. If we have an 85 overall on the 4th line, you know you're in a great spot. They're going to be saying no to that deal. Do I want to give up our 1st round pick? Like, if I have to, I can definitely trade our 1st round pick away because we're going to be a really good team. So I'll trade our 1st round pick, and that should be enough for us to get Shane Wright here. They're saying that's a little bit low. The lucrative 7th round pick is going to be saving the day once again. See, here's the 7th round pick for 2027, and just like that, Shane Wright's going to be joining the team. So without a doubt, this is the best the team's ever looked. Tage Thompson, 90 overall. Zach Benson, 87 overall. Jack Quinn, 87. Alex Tuck, 88. Trevor Zegras, 90. And JJ Peterka sitting at an 86. The bottom 6 is looking way better. Shane Wright's going to be a massive help to this. The bottom 6 is looking way better. Shane Wright's going to be a massive help here. And then when it comes to the defense, Rasmus Dahlin, 95 overall. Bo Byram, 82 overall. Owen Power, 91 overall. This defense is going to be unstoppable, especially with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen in between the pipes. The fact that he hasn't got an X factor though is a bit disrespectful. Bro has definitely earned it. So the Buffalo Sabres continue to absolutely dominate the league. We're sitting 2nd with a 59-14-8 record. The only thing holding this team back slightly is the offense. 3.39 goals per game isn't enough. The defense though, that's perfect. 2.52, I can live with that, no question about it. But that offense has to be slightly better. Tage Thompson, 65 points so far. Zach Benson, 57. Trevor Zegras, 54. Jack Quinn, 49. We just have to improve improve the bottom six just a little bit. It's not going to take too much, and then we're going to be the best team in the entire league. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, I've believed in you since day one, and clearly that was the right decision. 4 shouts, a 920 and a 247. Keep on putting numbers up like this, and we're going to be taking home a Stanley Cup. So we need to pick up a few more goals here in Rasmussen. I think he can be the difference maker for us. You're going to play some bottom 6 minutes at 3.2 million. Jacob Pelche and a second round pick is going to be sent over, and I guess a 7th round pick will be as well. A 7th round is going to be enough to get this deal done, and then Rasmussen is going to be joining the team to play in the bottom 6. Do they want a 6th round pick as well? Not going to lie, Detroit, you're being a bit greedy, but I'm perfectly fine with getting this deal done. 2 6th round picks though, you're wildin'. So here's a second 6th round pick. This is absolutely ridiculous, but you know what? We got the guy we were looking for, and now we're ready to win a Stanley Cup. So although the offense got better, the defense took a slight step back here, but that's perfectly fine because we know our defensive core is strong. The Buffalo Sabres going to be third once again here, a 52-21-9 record. The offense is looking better, but the defense has taken a step back, but I'm not too concerned about that. We're still the best defensive team in the league, and now that our offense is a bit better, we're looking to take home the Stanley Cup. Tage Thompson above a point a game, you'll love to see it. 86 points here. Zach Benson 79 points. Trevor Zegras 75 points. Jack Quinn 73. But you know what? There's one thing that we have to take a look at, and it's not Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen's numbers, and it's not the fact that we're taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round. We have to look at this roster, because at the beginning of the season I had a conversation with our coach and I said, you know what, let's focus on 5-on-5 this season. That was certainly the right decision. Ryan McLeod is now up to an 85 overall, but that's not the big jump we're going to be seeing here. Let's look at the defense. Siegenthaler's up to an 87 overall, Bryson's up to an 86 overall, Matejchuk's up to an 84 overall. This defense is unstoppable. So with our defense looking way better, there's no way the Maple Leafs are going to be able to stop us. So I can tell you right now, round number 1 is going to be a great warm-up for us because we're not going to be losing to the Toronto Maple Leafs. We're exchanging the first 2 games, so that's perfectly fine because we're going to win the next 2 after that. We have a 3-1 series lead, and we'll close it out in a gentleman's sweep, taking the Toronto Maple Leafs down 5 games. We all knew this was going to be happening. So the Toronto Maple Leafs are a nice warm-up for the team, but you know what? That might put us in a bad position heading into round number 2 because now we have to take on one of the best in the Florida Panthers. So I guess we're about to find out if that Toronto Maple Leafs matchup is going to be holding us back at all. We're picking up 5 goals in the first and second game. All right, that was way easier than I thought it would be. A sweep over the Florida Panthers. So yeah, maybe this team is legit. So we've made to the conference finals for the second time in 3 years, coming off a sweep of one of the best teams in the NHL. Buffalo's not messing around right now. They're looking to win a Stanley Cup. So this is the second time we made to the conference finals in 3 years. Now, can we make it to the Stanley Cup final for the second time in 3 years? Yes, we can. And here we go. The Winnipeg Jets taking on the Buffalo Sabres. But first, we have to have a conversation with our coach. Bro, I don't want to talk to you right now. I'm focused on the Winnipeg Jets. So now that we're done listening to our coach yap, it's time to get ready for the Stanley Cup final. The Winnipeg Jets taking on the Buffalo Sabres. I was so concerned after these 2 losses. But you know what? The boys are waking up. Game 5 is going to be a massive one. Who's going to be able to steal that one? It's going to be the Buffalo Sabres. Can we close it out in Game 6? I don't want to go to Game 7 here. And thankfully, we don't have to worry about Game 7. The Winnipeg Jets are going to be falling to the Buffalo Sabres in a 5-4 game. The Buffalo Sabres are on top, and they're Stanley Cup champions. So it took us 3 seasons to turn the Buffalo Sabres into Stanley Cup champions. And it was because of a lot of the key pieces that are actually on the current Buffalo Sabres. Alex Tuch, Tage Thompson, JJ Peterka, Zach Benson, Jack Quinn, Rasmus Dahlin. Of course, I made some trades. We picked up guys like Shane Wright. We picked up guys like Trevor Zegras, and we wouldn't be able to win without these guys. But when it comes to in between the pipes, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen stepped up when it mattered. A 16-3-1 record, 1 shot, a 924 and a 244. It's amazing what happens when you give the Buffalo Sabres a good coach and a good defense to work around. They have a lot of amazing forward pieces, but give this team a good coach, give this team a good defense, and actually help the young guys develop. This team has been bad for way too long, and with all the top picks they've gotten, they should be way better than this. But the Buffalo Sabres are now Stanley Cup champions. The most disappointing team in the league is now on top.